Well, I'm starting as per my usual construction process, not at the beginning but where I feel like it, and this time it's the wings. I'll have the flaps open just for adding interest to the build, a bit more detail. So I have checked, well, it's in the actual closer look at the scheme I'm doing. The aircraft has the blast tubes, and I've also looked up on Google. So the kit has molded in guns, blast tube, so they got to come out obviously. I just started off with a small drill bit that'll fit inside there, drilled in. Then I went bigger. I used this diamond burring tool to grind it down a bit more. So I've done this side, but I haven't done it all the way. What I'm going to do is glue the wings together and then clean the hole out and then put the gun in after, because, or the barrel, not the gun, that way if I do it this way you can clean up the join, the seam join there. That'll have to be cleaned up, sanded, rescribed around, and it'll be easier to do without the barrel in there, especially in between the center gun. And I've glued a piece of plastic card there because I know how I operate. If I didn't have that piece of plastic card there and I started gluing these guns in, one will go inside and I'll probably lose it. I might be able to get it there, but no, my luck I wouldn't. So it's just a bit of a safety. So that photo etch piece fit in, no worries. There's two slots on the wing surface that push down into. I just put some CA glue on it. This piece here, plastic part, I didn't even glue it, just pushed it in. It's really nice firm fit. There's 3 slots underneath those rods in the wing, just pushed in there, no problem. So I'll do the other side and then I can glue them on, and then yeah, when that's dried probably I can clean up the join seam. To be honest, I have no idea what this area is, but there is a cover to go on it. I will be putting that on. I won't have that open. It's not, I don't know, the guns are over here, so it's not the gun bay. No, anyway, I don't know, so I won't talk about it, but they won't be open. So when I do that, then I'll probably go back and start at the beginning, back to the cockpit. So you do get harnesses that come with the kit, and to be honest, I don't see a problem with them. You'd probably need to give them a burnish, give them a bit of a, because this photo etch fret's pretty thick. They give them a, heat them up, make them more flexible, and just paint them up. But I'll probably use the even though I don't like it, I'll probably use the Edard coloured set that came with the instrument panel, just so I can keep the other set for another build. I'll see when I get there, see how much it frustrates me. Alright, so yeah, off to a start. So I mentioned about how I could get the gun barrels out there. Obviously I can't because the wheel wells go in before that, because I skipped pages. So I've made them up. They are quite simple. Obviously the floor section with 4 sides, and they are dovetailed, so they got a pretty firm fit, but I glued them anyway. But and call outs are there, but they don't show you which side goes where, but it can only go one way, which is some of it. So they can only fit one way, so I can't put that one that side, it won't fit. I'll paint them before I put them in, because once they go in, there's corners that are hard to get at, so I'll just give them a quick shoot with the airbrush. For some reason they're giving you a call out for H340 field green, which is that colour, which I guess is somewhere in the ballpark of interior green, but I'll be using interior green. This time, Outlaw Paints, no particular reason, it's just the bottle I grabbed. So I'll paint them up, glue them in, and then I can glue the upper wings on. But before I do, I'll double check, make sure I haven't missed anything. Alright, the wings are glued on now. That area there doesn't touch the fairing for the undercarriage. We'll glue on there, cover up that. It's part of that area. So I've just cleaned up the fuselage halves. So I've built the rudder stabilizers and the horizontal stabilizers, just the 2 halves on all of them, just so don't have to do it later on. So that they've got a bit of a natural droop on them, the way it's moulded, which is fine, which is what I would have done anyway, so it's not massive. So according to their instructions, they're saying you need to put the rudder in first, so you might be able to give it a bit of a movement in it. I'm still not sure why you need to put that on first though. I can't see how it's going to foul anything there, but anyway. Even I put the actual fabric control surface on after the fact and it's still fitted, so I'm not sure why they say you need to put that on first, but anyway, all fits alright by the looks of it. And when I glue them in, there should be no, they look nice, that there should be no gap. So when I get there, I don't expect any troubles. Oh, I've already broken one of these. I'm just trying to get it with a bit of CA glue, so I'm sure I'll break that again. So that now I need to start getting fair income and go into the cockpit area. I've cut, so I'll be comparing, so I've cut the kit instrument panel out, which was on the sprue. I got the fuselage off of, so this look set is pretty much the same shape, but I believe the kit part is bigger, wider. It's going to need to put it all together and do a dry fit inside where it sits to see how it'll look. I don't know seriously why. I don't care if Hasegawa made a kit and Trumpeter made a kit. If it's P-40E, they should be exactly the same. Just, I don't get that, but anyway, we'll see what happens. So now what I'll do now is I'll start cutting all this off the sprue and getting it all prepared. Okay, so this instrument panel isn't going to work. Totally misshapen for the Trumpeter kit, so obviously they do make them different. But so basically the kit parts will sit in here. It's a very tight fit. Okay, so you can see the side panel walls of the tub sit in the recesses of the fuselage, and the instrument panel will fit in pretty close to the it's coming apart there, but into the combing on top of it. Whereas if I tried the there was several issues. The Hasegawa one, let's look at it from side on. It comes outwards more than the Trumpeter. So Trumpeter's vertical, this one angles out. So it's not gonna, I thought, oh, I can make it work, but not really. So where it wants to sit, the bottom of the instruments will be pushing up against the yoke. So what I've done, I've gone online to my favourite hobby store, which is B&A Modelling in Australia. They've got shit tons of stuff. I get 95% of my gear from them because they have just about everything. So I've ordered the proper, not the Eddard one. I had to get is it Red Fox Studio, I think. So it's the acrylic decals. So I'll have to remove the surface raised details of that and glue them on there, but that'll fit then, so that solves the problem. And I bought the set of fabric harnesses for the P-40E as well, so I'll put the proper fabric harness in there. So now I gotta wait obviously for that. That'll probably be, today is Saturday, so that won't be processed until Monday, so I probably won't see that until Wednesday or Thursday. So that will hold me up on this build. So I'll have to try and do something else, other parts on it, which I can do. I haven't put in the tail wheel area and all that, but I've started gluing up the exhaust. I believe from the images I can see, it's hard to tell in black and white. It's the rounded exhaust, not the square one. And I've asked on Facebook, but that's only a couple of hours old. I've had a couple of replies. Unfortunately I had one of each, but then someone else came along and said it's the rounded one, which I was leaning towards, but it's so hard to properly identify it in black and white photos, and there's not any really good close-up pictures of it. There's plenty of pictures of this actual aircraft I'm doing, Bluey Truscott aircraft, but I can't get a really close up to show the exhaust, but I'm going with the rounded ones. They didn't fit so great, and that was, I also looked to see if I could get the set of these, but unfortunately they're out of stock for the Trumpeter kit for the E model. They had a set of Hasegawa ones there, but yeah, I didn't take that risk because no doubt they'll be different shape because, you know, they're both P-40Es. So I got to clean them up, and I don't know how. I'll give it an attempt. These rounded style exhausts have a weld on them, so I don't know. I might have a go with some really finely stretched sprue, maybe even. Don't know. Let's see how I go, if that'll work or not. Yeah, so I'll have to just keep this now aside. Unfortunately, I can't use it on this kit anyway, but maybe one day I'll come across a Hasegawa one cheap or something, I can build it. Yeah, so I'll just try and work around this for now and do a bit of other work on it. I've made up the resin wheels, just trying to do some things now in between while I wait for those parts I ordered. So this is your kit, obviously, and with the rubber wheels and your resin wheels is just really night and day. And you got the tail wheel. I couldn't even get that part to go in there. You'd have to, if you're going to use it, you got to try and somehow clean out. There's too much rubber in there. Try and get it out somehow. I don't know how. It's not the easiest of substances to try and file or sand back. So that's that. So what I did, try a little bit of a upgrade. I still got to clean it up yet, but so that's the kit exhaust. It's two halves together, and what I did is I stretched sprue. I don't know if you can see, that's really thin, and I glued it on the joint of the seam, because the actual exhausts look like they're, I don't know if they're cast molded and that's the joint, or they're welded, but they have some sort of either the casting joint or the weld. Either way, I'm trying to replicate that. So I've glued it on. I've got a sand a couple there hanging over a bit, and then just dabbed Mr. Surfacer on there to suggest a bit of pitting and weathering of the exhaust, because it's in a harsh, this one's in Papua New Guinea, so it's extremely humid, hot up there. So that'll, I mean, it's not as good as buying a resin replacement set, but I couldn't get it, so I'm just making do with what I got. I'm still waiting on my instrument panel pieces to come in the mail, so I've just been doing bits of pieces here and there. Alright, so the resin wheels, the join to the axle is normally with resin wheels I find that the kit part is too big for the hole in the resin wheel, but this time the resin wheel hole is too big for the kit part, and I haven't got for the tail wheel I use some brass tube, and I've put the tube over the kit axle section, and the resin wheel fits on that brass tube, so by that you know how big the hole was. But I haven't got any brass tube or plastic tube. I looked through all my plastic tubes and bar, and none of them will suit. It's either too small or the same size too big. So what I did the main wheels wasn't such a big movement in it, the gap, so it's got some foil, aluminium foil, sticky tape, and cut it and wrapped it around that axle, just give it just a touch more thickness, and that'll go. I won't push it on there, but I have tried it, but that'll just help it. Like, you have to super glue anyway because that's resin, but you don't want it flopping around. So that's what I use for the tail wheels. 1.5mm brass tube. I put the intake section on it, and that was a really nice fit. This will go on the rear. I'll paint it, put some paint in here before I glue this one in. So which way is the way on it? Yeah, like that. So when you're looking from the front on, you'll see the mesh, the photo etch through, but the back, if you have your cowl flaps on the open, if you won't see it anyway, if you pick the model up and look under it you will, but there's no detail in the rear of it. But yeah, it'd be hard to see. Just doing odds and ends. So I've made up my doors, the gear doors, the smaller ones, and I've cut these off, cleaned them up, ready to paint. Parts, all these sorts of parts that look the same, I just number them, piece of Tamiya tape on my alligator clip, so I know when I finish painting, I know what goes where. Because front and back are a little bit different in shape. I need to make up the other main gear leg, and I'm going to make up, I've done the tail doors, tail wheel doors. I got to do, I'm going to put even though the images of Bluey Truscott's aircraft I've found hasn't got a drop tank in them, but I'm going to put the drop tank on it. I mean, they would have used them. Well, 76 Squadron, which is the squadron he's from, I've found images of aircraft from that squadron with the drop tank on. I just can't find one of his with it on, but I'm going to assume at some stage he had a drop tank. So I'm going to make that up. So I'll need these supports. Again, I'll have to number them when I clean them up so I know where they're going. I was going to put all the flap section together, the photo etch, but I think it's better if I wait until I fit the wing on to make sure that the wing fits properly at the rear end, that join, before I start gluing other stuff in. Just think it'll be a bit easier. So I'll have the flaps open, so you got the option there. So what do we got? As closed is, so these are your closed if you're having them closed, and these if they're open. So you can see obviously the detail for the open, the ribbing in there. So yeah, and what else did I do? I made up the propeller area section, but so this piece pushes into the back of that one, and it's a really nice firm fit. But I don't want to, if I glue that in now like that, I have to paint it on the model. It's easier to paint it separate. So, but this piece, hang on, that way, sits in that slot. So it's a double slot, and there's a groove there. So when you put this together, you're going to make sure this piece can spin Alright, now I can't get it in. There it is. So that can move. Obviously it's spinning out there, but so you should be able to, in theory, maybe it won't. You can, but I think that's a gimmick anyway. I build a model, the propeller just sits there. It's not going to be spinning for me. But anyway, I can put that on, paint the rest of it up, and then plug it on later, no problem. So I've done a dry fit of all that. I still need to clean up these panel lines that they've put in the propeller blade tips, and by the looks of it, all this fits. There's no gaps or anything. It all look to fit good. So that's all good. So far, even though I haven't started putting the cockpit and that together, so far it's all fitted well. I've had no come across any real issues yet. Okay, so my new instrument panels turn up. So that's the Red Fox Studio. So I can finish off doing the interior. So it's pretty much the same instrumentation, but the shape is different. And I also bought, seeing I ordered that, to make the postage worthwhile, I bought a new harness set that suits the Tomahawk Warhawk aircraft. So that way I'll keep the Hasegawa set complete, even though I put the instrument panel together. One day I might come across the old Hasegawa kit cheaply and be able to get it, maybe. Anyway, so I started painting up the interior. I've done some dry brushing, just light dry brushing on the walls with some I usually use natural steel. Also on the floor where pilot's feet would wear through, and also on the seat, handling the sides and wear on it. And I've painted in leather. Just hand brushed some leather and then lightened it with some buff to suggest wear from the head rubbing the headrest. So obviously I'll give these a clear coat, and then I'll add the harnesses to the seat, and same as here. So you got to remove raised detail to make way for the decals, if you want to call them decals. I guess they are in some sense. Now they say you can glue them on with, so you can use PVA glue or CA glue, but I'm a bit sus using CA glue on something like this, because even though they say it's good to go, I don't trust CA glue. It might damage from the reverse side. So a while ago I bought some of this. That's probably just PVA glue. I don't know, only $5 or something. So I just bought it to try, because I used the Quinta ones on something else. Oh, I just knocked that off. So I've knocked another one off there somewhere. So they're not that sticky, so you do need, there it is. So you just saw for yourself there, they're easily coming off that, so be careful there, don't lose them. So that two, the big one and the green one, are for the actual front instrument panel, and the other two are for the sidewall. Right, so finished with my exhaust, doing it my home upgrade way because I couldn't get the resin ones. I think they turned out alright. So I airbrushed on my base coat of Hull Red, and then using a piece of sponge, that's just your packing sponge from Eddard Brass Sets and whatnot. I've randomly gone over and started with burnt umber. Then I did some grey blue and a touch of light rust. I didn't go overboard with that. And what I did then is I mixed smoke black, and I heavily thinned it with just water and brushed it liberally over the part just to give it a wash, bit of a smoky colour over it. So I'm happy with that, how that turned out. It's better than just what the kit parts were offering, so it's something better than nothing, I guess. So I'll start putting all this other gear back into the cockpit. Alright, cockpit is finished, so that instrument panel is in, and I've put the harnesses in. I tried the tea technique, taking a tea bag and trying to get the stain in, but didn't seem to want to penetrate the material, so I left it as is, and I just gently brushed a bit of pigment over the belt just to give it some sense of a bit dirty. I've given it just a wash around the raised details, so I just use a bit of dark wash. And I put the rear, the tail wheel leg in, because that's everything in now. I think that so the tail wheel, I'm not putting the wheel on yet. Tub, the intake area of the radiators and that's in already. So I just got to put that piece on as well because the propeller's not going in yet, and I've put the exhaust in. They are a really tight fit, but I did put a bit of glue there just to make sure they don't come out at all once it's glued together. So yeah, I just need to glue these walls on there, and then I'll put the glue that into the fuselage. They're a nice fit anyway, but they will need to be glued because they're not a tight fit, but they fit nicely and there's no gaps or anything.